program that we are using. Lots of buttons on the backside for me, making sure I keep everything straight here. All right, we are live and recording. All right. Joe, thanks for joining us. Joe, can you turn your camera off till we get to you about halfway through? If you can hear me.
No problem. I can hear you. I'll take care of that now. Thanks.
Awesome. Well, thanks, man. All right. We'll be hearing from him in a little bit. All right. Thank you everybody for using the survey questions already. It's always helpful for me to get a sense of who's here. Like I said, we get some new toys. I'm testing out. We'll see if I keep this one or not. And wow, a lot of new people. That's awesome. That's awesome. And a lot of people have not gone in already to the Surge Strength Academy for their free 101 course. Why not? Hope you do that first thing when we're done here. All right. So people still coming in. So I'm going to give a minute or two for you guys to finish filling out the survey, especially as some more people come on. Just another minute or two, and then we'll get into the presentation. So thanks for taking the time out. And if you've done the presentation already, feel free to throw your name and where you're from in the chat. Always love to see where people are joining us from. Have to remember to look at the camera. I have so many things I can look at now on the backside of my screen, guys. So a lot of very different than the previous webinars we've done. So I'll try to keep looking at the screen, keep eye contact for you guys. But if some people can go and chat, I do want to make sure the chat is working before I get into the presentation. That did happen one time. All right, Andy from Guam, thank you for proving the chat is working. Still have nightmares about the one webinar where the chat did not work, and it was very sad. So I never want that to happen again. All right, man, still a lot of people. This is their first Surge Strength webinar. That's awesome. And almost 2/3 still have not done the free 101. So a lot of new people. That's awesome. Hey, Carissa, thanks for joining us. Meg from Houston, Jeremy from Virginia, Colin from Cleveland, Kelly from Annapolis. Here they come. All right, everybody's in now. From Ukraine, awesome. All right, everyone. All right, I think we got everyone for the surveys that's going to fill them out here while we start. So I'm going to switch over to presentation mode. And just so you know, feel free, especially with this new setup, feel free to drop in questions, comments, ideas as I go. Just know I will not be able to see them once I get into presentation mode. And then at the end, I definitely will have a Q&A session. So if I don't see your question, like feel free, just understand when you're chatting, it's probably going to be more the participants that are seeing it than me. And then at the end, if you want me to address a question, please retype it so I'm not having to search through all the chats if you want me to address it there. So we're going to go ahead and end voting. Thanks so much, everyone, for filling out the survey. Really appreciate it and understand that a lot of new people out there, and that's awesome. All right. So we're going to end that and then switch over to, all right. And then we are in the presentation. All right. So we're talking about Surge Strength dryland programs and certification. If you don't know, hi, everyone. Introduce yourself. I am Chris Ritter. I'm a former swimmer, swim coach, and strength coach. Started Ritter Sports Performance a long time ago, created the Surge Strength Academy more recently. And we're going to talk about our dryland programs as well. And please, like I said, this is an interactive webinar. Even though I can't see your chat right now, I definitely want to engage you at the end with the questions. So make sure you have any good questions, put them in again at the Q&A when we get there. But especially, I was wondering if we're going to have a lot of new people, so I'm glad I put this in. I wanted to talk about kind of the origin of Surge Strength a little bit. So we have to go all the way back to my high school days there, sporting my Letterman jacket. And I was really into swimming, so much so that I would do doubles on club practices, then high school practice on top, started adding dryland in, just trying to do everything I can, right? I was a slow distance swimmer, so just figured I would outwork everyone and try to achieve the best that I could in the sport. And my enthusiasm quickly turned into injuries, and the dryland in particular accelerated that. So, getting on the bench press, doing a couple things. Oh, you feel the shoulder pop or click. Oh, not a problem. I'm going to keep pushing through. I'm a tough distance swimmer, right? And then that turned into my senior year, pretty much not being able to swim at all, was just doing a lot of kick Was able to swim a little bit at around the championship time, but didn't do anywhere near what I wanted to because I really wasn't swimming that whole season. And that then really affected my college swimming experience and all of that. But needless to say, bringing it back to, I understand how important dryland can be. And I have seen how it can put you down a real negative career path in swimming if you're not approaching it right. But then, in the same hand, I've seen how much positive it can affect and accelerate your development in the sport. And no matter where you are on this spectrum, whether you are just kind of dipping your toe in the water, maybe you're a master swimmer who's been out of it for 20, 30 years, getting back into it, or if you're like one of the Olympians that I've worked with, nobody along this spectrum wants to deal with injuries. And that's the bottom line. And unfortunately, with dryland, the built-in mentality is let's just work harder. Let's be, get sweaty, get tired, tongues hanging out, that kind of approach. I approach it, especially from my personal perspective, as let's do no harm first. Let's try to prevent injuries because swimming is such a grueling, repetitive sport anyway. I think about dryland as a way to bolster your body and almost have more armor on your body, especially in points that are irritating for swimmers like your shoulders, maybe low back, knees if you're a breaststroker, stuff like that. So I think about dryland as a way to enhance what you're going to get out of the water. I am not trying to turn you into an Olympic weightlifter or train you like a football player. I understand that swimming is your number one priority, and we want to get you enjoying it better, moving faster in the water, and just feeling good overall. And so, going back to these exercises, and especially in the last few years, I feel like it's picked up the pace, unfortunately, is you scroll through social media or YouTube or something like that, and you're like, oh, that exercise looks good. I'm going to add that in. Oh, that looks good. I'm going to add that in. Ooh, that looks really hard. I'm going to add that in. And it's okay. I'm not trying to shame you if you did that route. I sometimes get into that trap as well, but that is not a process. It's not, hey, let's cross our fingers, close our eyes, hope no injuries happen. Oh, I found a couple exercises off of social media. I'm going to jumble them together and hope that the program comes out. This is a disastrous recipe. And we're trying to change that approach with surge strength. And mainly it starts with how we talk about dryland. So a goal of dryland should not be how tired can you get? How sweaty can we get you? How sore can we get you? Those are bad metrics for if your goal is enhancing swimming performance. If you're doing other things, maybe we can have a discussion about that. But for swimming, and I've been doing this a long time, seen a lot of different swimmers, a lot of different results and methods. It comes back to, are we getting the swimmers more athletic and stronger? If we're doing that, we're on the right track. And sometimes that ends up with fatigue in the dryland session. I'm not saying we're never tired when we train swimmers or help coaches with their swim program and their dryland specifically, but the chasing of the fatigue should not be your prime goal with that. It's about athleticism and strength. And I've learned this from a lot of different ways. So I like to take things and mush them together and see what works for me. And so I've taken a lot of different certifications, had a lot of different perspectives, worked with a lot of different coaches and athletes. And from that is what comes out in surge strength and what we offer. Like I said, been doing this a long time in terms of around the sport of swimming, helping as a coach. And so let's dive into the dryland programs. This is by far our most popular and longest running too. So we've been doing this since 2009, right when the iPhone was just coming out, when apps were just a thing. In fact, for the first few years of doing this, we did not use an app. I was using a private YouTube channel and sending Excel PDF workouts. It's kind of hideous looking back on it that we actually started this way, where you're just printing stuff out. And now it's so much slicker with the apps and the phone and private access and chatting and all of that. So it's really cool to see. And this is just some of the swimmers that we've worked with over the years. Did want to highlight one really early case. This was probably 2 or 3 years in, if I remember right. And we were just getting started. I just had a few master swimmers. It was just me kind of getting the program up and going. And Bruce in the middle there, he was coming off some injuries, wanted to get back into the sport, swam in high school. I can't remember if he swam in college or not, but wasn't anything serious if it was, and had been out of the water for 20 years, wanted to get back in it. You see here at the top line of kind of where we started. He couldn't even do a pull-up. Okay, so drop down pull-ups are where you start with your chin above the bar and then slowly lower yourself down. So he could only manage 5 of those. In a little over 2 years, we got him from there to doing 3 chest pull-ups where he's pulling the bar all the way to his chest with, oh, by the way, 55 pounds attached around his waist. And I'd never seen him in person, not once, through this 2+ years that we got it. I was able to actually connect with him at a Masters Nationals after he achieved all this stuff, which was really cool to kind of reminisce about what we'd accomplished over the years. But we did all of that completely remotely. And so now even we're leveraging technology even more to be able to do that. And overall, I appreciate it as much as the wins, the records that Bruce achieved. It was how he felt, his body, his enjoyment in the sport, being able to kind of trash talk his buddies like, yeah, I'm going to beat you. I'm training with Surge, and being able to get that power off the blocks. And then just yesterday, we published this article on SwimSwam about one of the very recent athletes we've worked with. He decided to take a gap year, and so didn't go right into college, wanted to get a D1 scholarship. That was his goal. It didn't happen for him in kind of the normal process of going right into college after high school. So he decided to take a gap year, and dryland was a big focus for him. So he reached out to us along with his parents. We started in late summer there. And then he really needed to improve his starts, typo there, starts and walls, especially because he was short. So that's why I put that there, especially as a butterflyer too. That can be really hard, and you're already behind the eight ball, so to speak, with being a shorter swimmer in something like butterfly. You think about how tall Phelps is, and with his wingspan, it's already an advantage for him. So working with a shorter swimmer already, we knew we were kind of up against it, but we still went through the same process, the same movement assessments, performance tests, making the program, adapting it as we go. And then just recently, he got an offer from the University of Hawaii, and he was thrilled about it and let us know, hey, I'm so glad that I worked with you guys to help improve so he could go get the cuts that he wanted to get to the level that he wanted to swim at in college. So those are just some appetizers there for you, just some of the results we've seen both at the very beginning and then even recently, and there's a lot in between. Some we'll touch on here in a second. But the Surge Strength Dryland programs are for swimmers of all levels and most ages, I would say. So in the early age, we're looking at probably 11 to 13, somewhere around there. And it kind of is a case by case basis where how mature are they, a couple of their questions. That's why I always have a free call to kind of talk through it with any parents that are concerned about that. And frankly, we don't want it to turn into a negative situation either. So we'll have an honest conversation about if your child is ready for that. And believe it or not, I have turned a number of parents away where it's just like, hey, the kid's too young. I don't think it's going to work. I'm not worried about taking your money right now. It's just not going to work out well. And on the other hand, we'll talk about some swimmers that have goals of breaking records in their 90s for master swimmers that we've still been working with and since the early days as well. But it all comes back to the programs, no matter who we're working with individually or teams as well. It's specific to swimming performance, like I was talking about earlier. And we do it completely online, remote, via app. And each individual or coach, if we're working with a team, gets a dedicated dryland certified coach to walk them through the whole way. So a lot of you haven't been in the Surge Strength Academy, at least yet. Hopefully after this webinar, you'll register for one of those free one-on-one courses. But I wanted to let you know how it's a little bit different from there. So the courses, we have ones for coaches, swimmers, whether you have a coach or self-coached as a swimmer, and then parents as well. All those courses are basically to give you some starter tips, maybe some things you can start to do, and a little bit of preview of what we offer. The custom dryland program is that it's completely custom. We build it for where the swimmer or team is at today, and then try to scale it up over time. And most importantly, that dryland certified coach is there supporting and helping them navigate the season and all the twists and turns that can happen in that journey. And so the actual program looks like this. On a weekly basis, we're sending you workouts through that secure and private workout app that we give you access to. So only you can access your dryland program based on the unique code that we give you. And you don't want to think about every week the workouts completely change, but we update it on a weekly basis. So sometimes from one week to the next, we might be changing phases. So that's going to be a lot of difference in the workouts from a strength phase to a strength power or even a power phase, especially around that taper time. But sometimes in a phase, in a strength phase, in a week to week, maybe only a few things might change. Maybe we just change some reps or the tempo or some weight, or maybe even the order of exercises. All of these are variables that we can adjust. And especially the more beginner the athlete, we want to change it less often so that you can acclimatize to it. The more advanced you are, we will change the workout more. So that's a common question I'll get sometimes is, well, how often is my workout going to change? Well, it depends. Are you a brand new person dipping your toe into dryland? Have you deadlifted before? Have you done pull-ups before? Or are you already well beyond that? Maybe you're squatting, 300 plus, deadlifting 300 plus, and you're looking for that little edge to maybe get the next Olympic medal around your neck. So all of that depends on how we put the program together. And that's on the intake and onboarding process. So once we get the programs, we also have a 2 times a month video calls with your Dryland certified coach. So these are check-in calls to see, hey, how's the program going? And it's every 2 weeks for a reason, so that, hey, sometimes life happens, right? I mean, even this week myself, I didn't get to all the strength workouts that I wanted to, but my goal is next week to get back on track. And that happens from time to time. I would say in general, if you're 80 to 90% hitting your workouts, that's what we want, because we understand life happens. Sometimes it's going to come up, but the every 2 week rhythm for the call helps to make sure that doesn't bleed in too long. So if it goes a month between call with your Dryland certified coach, hopefully you're hitting all the workouts, but chances are you might not be. And you might be missing out on some tips, because chances are you've progressed over a few weeks and the Dryland certified coach can help you out. So it really is a collaborative effort. It is definitely not, hey, give us your money, we'll send you a workout, good luck, let us know how it goes next season. It's every step along the way. We're helping you and we're navigating if things pop up. Maybe your shoulder starts bugging you. Maybe you have travel and we have to switch the workouts. All those things we adapt to. So it really is a completely custom program for you. We also do regular reassessments throughout the process as well. So we do an initial one on the onboarding, and then throughout the season, and especially maybe postseason, we'll see how did we improve over the season besides the time improvements that we've seen in other reps, like how many pull-ups have changed and things like that. Now, it's real simple to get started. You just go to the website, surgestrength.com, go to the program section. There's a little orange button, get started now. Click that quick form to fill out just some information, background for me to understand before we get on the call. And then we'll talk through the call, any of the details or specific questions that you have. Now, the actual steps, once you get on the call with me and let's say, all right, Chris, I'm decided I'm going to go. Great. We have, oh, by the way, monthly payment options with no contract. Or if you want to commit annually, we'll give you a pretty healthy discount on that. So the steps, once you've made that decision and you want to get started with us on a program, these are the actual steps of what it looks like. So you can pay for your program either on that call, or I can send you a link afterwards to do that. Then you're going to watch the assessment and testing videos. And this is through Access and the Surge Strength Academy that will give you to our onboarding program. And so then you're going to film yourself doing all of those movement assessments and performance tests. There are about 13 in total. It would take you about 20 to 30 minutes max to go to gym, set a camera up, make sure you get it all in. And you might even be able to knock it out faster depending on just how quick you are, mainly with the camera. Then you'll be able to share your files with your Dryland certified coach. All those details are in the academy and it's actually self-contained in there. We try to make it easy as possible. And every few years, we continually try to upgrade, say, how much easier can we make this onboarding process? Then once you share the files with your Dryland certified coach, you're able to schedule that first onboarding video call. It's 1 hour long. The first half of the call is really more seeing how did you do in terms of the assessments. And it's not, a pass fail kind of thing. It's, oh, you really have some restriction in your shoulders. We're going to need to address that in the program and also take some exercises out so we don't increase the chances of injury. Or it may be on the other hand, wow, everything looks good, no real restrictions. You're pretty strong. We got a green light. We're going to hit it hard from day one. That's what the first half of the call is really the Dryland certified coach walking you through what they see based on the videos that you shared. The second part of the call then shifts to those details of, okay, how many times a week are you able to work out? And most of the time, we want 3 windows of 45 to 60 minutes, ideally with a day in between. That's the ideal template. If you can't match that, that's okay. We'll work around that. But the ideal template is for you to have 3 windows every other day, 45 to 60 minutes, and some type of resistance equipment, gym access, something like that. So if you have practically no equipment, we can still do that program, but know it's going to be limited until you get at least a few pieces of equipment. And actually, the free one-on-one courses that a lot of you haven't been in, I have a specific video talking about the first step recommendation. So if you have 0 equipment and you're just like, okay, Chris, what's the first few items I'll get? And it'll cost you less than $100 or around there. I'll give you that information at the end of the one-on-one courses. So make sure you check those out. But once you finish that call with your Dryland certified coach, you can expect your first set of workouts in the app within a day or 2 of that call. And then you're off and running. And we're into that weekly rhythm of getting it updated every week. And then every other week or every 2 weeks in the month, you're doing that call to connect with your Dryland certified coach. And from there, we just continue to adapt the program until your championship meet, taper time, whatever it is, we're working towards some kind of goal there. Now, I want to be very upfront. Who are we not for? Because when someone kind of sneaks in that doesn't fit what we're looking for, or they're looking for something else and we're kind of expecting something else, everybody just kind of gets frustrated and no one wins that situation. So I really try to be upfront of who is this not for, because it saves me time and you money as well. So if you are not interested in regularly talking with someone like a Dryland certified coach, if you think you're going to ghost us for, a few weeks or even months, please don't even bother filling out the form. Believe it or not, we have people that will pay us and then ghost us for a few months and wonder why they aren't improving. Well, you got to do the workouts, number one, but you also have to communicate with us. It's really hard for us to program in the dark if you're not actively communicating. So we really want people that are interested in, I want a collaboration. I want someone to bounce ideas off of. I want to see, hey, this exercise wasn't working for me. Is there something else we can try? If those kind of questions are what interests you about Dryland, you are exactly who we want to work with. But if that's not your thing, you'd rather just get, a workout and do it on your own and not really communicate, not a problem at all. But that's not what we offer. So I'd suggest you go look somewhere else. The other thing we do not offer is cheap cookie cutter regular template workouts. You can find plenty of those around the internet for $0 to a few bucks, and good luck with them. We do not do that at all. We are the complete opposite end. So we're customizing everything based on you and collaborating along the way. And we really enjoy working in this way. And I think at this point, doing this enough years, going on our second decade here, we've been pretty successful with that. Also, when we think about workouts, I kind of talked about this earlier. We're not looking to just get you tired or get your tongue hanging out and sweating. We want to do the workouts with purpose. And that's with your dedicated Dryland coach with you every step of the way through that program. And then here's just a couple podcasts I wanted to highlight. So we have these are live on both our podcast feed and the articles we put on SwimSwam here. So this young lady, she was really burned out with swimming, wasn't sure if she was going to keep doing it. And then she joined us. Her mom reached out to us, and then she ends up getting her first future cut just less than a year later and is excited about that. I mean, think about what a change it is from thinking about, oh, I hate this sport, to now, wow, I wasn't even sure I could get to this level. And then talking about college, here's another young lady, Landry, who came to us about almost a year before she was entering in college. And she just knew that she needed to get a stronger level. And in the podcast, she talked about how when she went on the recruiting visit, she was one of the few swimmers to raise their hand when the strength coach asked who has done a strength training program before. And that was really impressive and actually helped her in the recruiting process, and now is setting her up for more success into her freshman year in college. And then, like I said, on the other end of the age spectrum here, Ernie and Bernie, some of our favorites here. Ernie had the goal or the birthday present to him to do 72 pull-ups on his 72nd birthday. No, they're not consecutive, but still, how many of you, I can't even raise my hand the last time I did 72 pull-ups in a condensed amount of time like that. So that's awesome. And they have goals to try to break masters records in the 90 plus age group category. And we're looking forward to helping them for another few decades of training. So now I'm going to exit the program, and we're going to switch over here. So again, we're going to roll with me here. Can you guys see the video? Can someone text me here? I want to make sure that you're seeing this. All right.
Was geared towards
the wrong video, actually. So here, hold on, guys. Still getting used to this. All right. I'm going to show you here we go. So this was actually, we have not released this podcast yet. I'm giving you a little bit teaser. This is going to be released in the next week or two. We just recorded it with a mom and daughter that started with us in the fall. And the kid had an absolutely amazing age group, or I forget the specific name of the meet just a few weeks ago, but it was incredible. All lifetime best, completely blew out of the water. And here's just a little snippet of that interview. Please type in the chat if you can't hear the sound, but I think we're going to be okay.
Well, she kind of went all in from the get-go. As a parent, you wonder if, is she going to do this program that we've kind of signed up for? And she did. She really wanted to get better in the pool and stronger and faster. So I just kind of stepped back, and she, went head first into the program. She was faithful to do the workouts. I guess initially we weren't swimming as much in the beginning, like when she began to work with Ann. And so it wasn't until a little bit later, at the meets that I kind of noticed, some incremental improvements. And she really ended on, just a fantastic note at the age group state meet.
I cut a lot of time at state.
Yeah.
Going into the meet, I wanted to get at least one top three. And I got that on my 100 breast. And over the whole season, I think I cut 5 seconds on my 100 breast.
She had some huge time drops at the state meet, at state championship in February, across the board. It just wasn't that there was one stroke. You could tell that she was stronger overall across the board. It was really, really impressive as far as I'm concerned, how well she did. And of course, that's a combination of everything. She's got a great coach and they have a great dryland program. But just working with Ann on some specific things that were tailored for her and the areas where she needed individually a little bit of improvement, just kind of, was just the perfect recipe for her to have success at the state championship this past February.
It was an amazing meet. That was the most amount of time I've cut in so long. And I'm pretty sure I might have gotten one quad A. And I'm like a second off my futures in my 100 breast. So I'm hoping to get that. And then I cut 6 seconds on my 200 IM. And over the whole season, I probably cut 12 seconds on my 200 breast, which was crazy.
Dryland is the secret weapon. I believe those are your words, actually, Chris. But no, having this personalized program, that speaks to what Kelly said about, in addition to what Mallory's already doing with her club program, having that personalization specific to her movements and to her goals has been the game changer. And I believe that's true for not just individuals, but also teams.
Mallory, what would you say to other swimmers maybe around your age and maybe in your situation of haven't had some best times in a while, or like, hey, I got goals, I want to get here, a little frustrated? What would you say to them?
I feel like it's really important for the swimmer to put in the work, not just the coach. And if you do what they're telling you, and if it's like built specifically for you, especially, that it's a really good thing to do, especially for this, because it's so personalized and it changes throughout the months. And
You felt like you got a bonus coach here with Ann, I'm sure, this past season.
Yes, sir.
Kelly, about you? What would you say specifically maybe to other parents that are in similar situations, right? They have a kid that's putting in hard work. It's not that they're slacking, but the results aren't coming like maybe they were a couple seasons ago.
Well, I tell you, Chris, I'll admit I was skeptical at first. I thought, how in the world could there be anything else this child could do? Because she's such a hard worker anyways, that would help. But I tell you, I'm a believer now. I am. If you have a child that is motivated, because like Mallory said and Ann said, the child has to put in the work. But I just have nothing but good things to say about this program. Not only, the individualized workouts that helped her to reach her goals and helped her to kind of give her that extra edge in the pool, but just the encouragement that Ann gave her. Just always asking her, what are you working on in the pool? What are your goals? And Ann, like she said, Ann kind of let Mallory drive the direction they went. Ann gave her the workouts that were, just perfect for what she needed to work on. But also she was so encouraging. If even for that aspect, I would highly recommend, the program. I just was really, really, really impressed with, this program that you've built, and with Ann specifically as her kind of extra coach.
All right, guys, hopefully everyone heard that. I saw somebody send they had some difficulties. So just type in the question or type in the chat if someone, just want to make sure you guys heard and watch that before I go back now to the presentation. So if someone could just give me a yes or no in the chat, so I know if this new software. Awesome. Good, Andy. All right. And I did see a question too. This is a great transition. Whoever put that is that. So that's on the program side. So let me go back to this. So this specifically the program, and we'll actually see Anne in a slide shortly here, I believe, and it'll kind of come back. So making sure some people aren't confused. So the dryland programs, this is something we offer. And now we've grown the team to where it's not just me, but there are other dryland certified coaches on our staff. And how you can work with us to become a dryland certified coach and work with Surge Strength to help other swimmers is to become Surge Strength dryland certified. And we only offer open enrollment to become certified a few times a year, typically at the end of each championship season afterwards. So it's usually a spring and a fall one. And this is not to diminish the programs either, but I actually think that they work better the more that we've done this now. So this has probably been going into our third year that we've offered both the certification and the programs. And where I really see the sweet spot is for coaches that become SSDC and still get us to work with their team to create a dryland program. We'll talk about that a little bit more, but just making sure you guys understand the distinction of the programs, and then there's the certification, and then there's the option, obviously, if you are certified, to apply when we have openings for more coaches on staff. And so the curriculum for the certification is pretty comprehensive. And I've had people in education, people with high degrees in strength and conditioning, praise in terms of how well together it's put and comprehensive, but also speaking to both beginners and advanced. So I split it up into two sections. The first section is the foundations modules. So in total, the course is about 22 hours, 200 plus lessons. Each lesson averages about 10 to 15 minutes. So you can kind of take them in little chunks. But the first half, the foundation modules, that's just setting the stage of here's exercise science basics, here's movement kinesiology basics, exercise physiology basics that you're going to need to know to then get specific when we talk about how to apply it and actually create a dryland program. So what you're probably quote unquote looking for is usually at the end, the second half, but you got to make sure you understand the first half to then apply it correctly, especially when you're creating a program. The other thing I really tried to do hard in terms of setting up the layout of the certification curriculum is making sure I address different learning styles. So right off the bat, you can print out this action sheet and it'll kind of give you a way to check off your progress as you go. Because sometimes it can be daunting for some people thinking, oh my God, 200 lessons, 20 plus hours. How am I going to fit this in? Just a chunk of the time. Now, some coaches have knocked it out in a weekend. Other coaches will take a month, maybe a few months, maybe in a few years. It's okay. It's all self-paced. So whatever speed you want to go, we also have quizzes along the way to make sure you're picking up the knowledge before the final exam at the end. Now, I'm going to give you a couple slides of just teams that are represented that have at least one coach either currently enrolled or has become SSDC. And it's pretty insane, the numbers. I have not updated this recently. I keep saying I will, but I just have not found the time to do it. It keeps growing. And we're now at almost 50 countries. I expect to break that, being represented in this next open enrollment of at least one coach from that country becoming SSDC. So it's pretty amazing what we've done in just a few years' time with this dryland certification. Eric is a great example of that coach. So we worked with him in creating his team dryland program for many, many years. I mean, I want to say it was maybe even 5 years that we had worked with Eric. And then we get to the point where we offer the certification. He was one of the first ones to jump on it, and we still kept helping him with the program. And that just shows that when Eric understands dryland at a higher level, our dryland certified coaches can program at a higher level, and we can just have better discussions. And specifically, Eric talks about how it helped his staff get all on the same page and figure out, all right, how do we do this dryland puzzle? If you're a strength coach, personal trainer, performance coach, this can be a great addition to your ongoing education. And John here is a perfect example of this. He is now on staff with us at Surge Strength and doing an amazing job. And he was actually the coach of the swimmer that took the gap year that then ended up getting that scholarship to the University of Hawaii. So that was all John working with him from the assessment part to coaching him through to changing the workout to now the results. So if you're out there working with swimmers, and John had a history of working with swimmers, so it actually helped him kind of get through the course well and really shine through the hiring process. But even if you're beginning and kind of think about, hey, I have some swimmers I'm working with, or I want to learn more of this, this is still a great first step, even if you don't feel that you're a veteran in this space. We have a lot of rehabilitation, healthcare practitioners, manual therapists, things of that nature that sign up. This is Josh from Alaska here, and he's athletic trainer certified. That's a lot of education to go through, yet he was still learning stuff going through the first module. So making sure who is this not for, right? So if you're tired kicking, if you still haven't even signed up for a 101, you need to sign up for a 101. Start there first. It's only a few lessons, take you less than an hour to get through the 101 course, as opposed to maybe biting off a little bit more than you can chew with the certification. And then 2, if you're not looking for magic results, and I could put this for the program section as well, we would charge a lot more if we were able to create magic. And we're still looking for that golden chalice elixir as well. And if you know it all, you probably aren't even signed up for this webinar, so I'm not worried about you. But we really have been proving this over and over again. So with the certification, how I thought about it is, what did I do when I was working with people like Cullen going into the Beijing Olympics, who he was trying to get stronger. He was trying to maximize his window in the sport. And then he ends up being on one of the most iconic relays in Olympic history, with Lezak chasing down Bernard there to keep Phelps's gold medal streak going. It's the same kind of stuff I did with him, with Mark Gangloff and others, that propelled them to success at the Olympic level. And I tried to break that down in chunks of how I can teach it to you as coaches and to our staff to make sure we're continuing delivering dryland programs that have success over the long haul. And here's just some snippets that we clipped in the early first year or so of just the reaction. Again, we haven't even updated this. There's just so many, it's hard to keep up with. We're trying to pivot more to just making sure we're continuing to focus on the teams and individuals in front of us and updating the certification as we go. But it was just overwhelming, the amount of happiness, satisfaction that we saw from coaches, especially being like, this is the resource I need, because dryland is such a weak spot for most coaches. They don't understand it. And this is a great example of, I think, the level we achieved with the certification. So this lady, she has not only a master's in strength and conditioning, but quote unquote, the gold standard of certification in strength and conditioning, the CSCS. It's been around, I don't know, probably 40 years at this point. It was one of the first certifications I got straight out of college, because you had to have a college bachelor's degree in exercise science or related field to even sit for the exam. So there's a lot of hoops to jump through to even get those letters behind your name. But she was blown away by what we had created. So the fact that I hit that kind of level, but then on the other hand, we have beginners who have no background and they still feel like it is great. So I think I really did a good job of helping both camps. So again, whether you're an expert in strength and conditioning or you just are dipping your toe in the water, this can be a good solution for you as a coach. Oh, I've skipped this. I wanted to put this in because there's so much that I also pack into the curriculum aside from just the lessons. But the case studies is what I thought was one of the biggest bangs for your buck, in terms of, I went back through the archives and tried to find what were some of the best programs that I put together, so you can follow my path and really start to understand, how do I think through these things? And it really is a new learning process that you should think about when you enroll to become SSDC. So here's just a quick rundown of all the extras aside from the curriculum that we do. And I've been selling online courses enough that this, we could easily kind of dice it up and do that. But I'm trying to keep it as economical as possible, so as many coaches can onboard as well. And so you see here, we're trying to keep it as reasonable as possible. But the goal is to have these words, emotions, emojis connect with you about dryland. And I know a lot of coaches are maybe frustrated or feel they're unorganized or behind the 8 ball on it. Becoming SSDC can really help with that. So now I want to show you a couple of the coaches that have gone through it. And we'll see Anne again before she joined us on staff. So here we go.
I wanted something that I felt like was geared towards swimming.
Took my personal training and it was good, but then it still didn't give me that edge of, okay, I'm going to have to do the extra research to understand exactly how this applies to swimming. I
think that a swim coach that only knows how to swim coach then doesn't know anything.
I think I'm probably similar to a lot of coaches out there. We just run out of time at some point. By the time I want to teach all of this to all of my staff, I can't do that and run a practice and create workouts and do all of those other things.
You can't blame your coaches when they're doing the wrong things in dry land or the wrong things in the water. When you don't want to invest in your coaches.
Oh, well, that's why I kept getting hurt. You know? I was totally doing that out of context.
You just have to keep on learning all the time, even though you have the knowledge. You have to keep on hearing other people talk about it and seeing their point of view.
There's an abundance of knowledge in here which will make you feel more grounded and more knowledgeable. You'll feel a lot more competent in being able to deliver something like this and put it together.
It's a comfort level of knowing I've got my parameters of where I need to be and what I need them to achieve. And then you've got a whole bunch of resources as well to kind of build that.
Yeah. So the process of learning surge strength was a huge value use of my time.
There's accessibility, you have great Q&A sessions and follow-up sessions that they don't have to come to me just for those questions. That you're an immediate resource, and it's a well laid out program that takes away a lot of the initial questions that they have when they come to me anyway.
You'd already laid out the map for me. I didn't need to figure it out.
I mean, the $500 to certify them in something, or the $50 to certify them in something for 1 year of coaching. You know, if you do that every year, you spend $500 a year to make sure that your kids don't get hurt and your staff is a higher quality. And the other thing I found is as you invest in your coaches, they stick around longer.
You're certified at something, you should probably have put some time and effort into it to really learn it. So, yeah, I would definitely recommend the Surge program for any coach that's running dry land.
I absolutely recommend.
I would promote the program without a doubt. Anybody that asks, I go ahead and share your information with them and tell them that start here. And I think it's been a huge asset for our program overall. So thank you.
All right. Joe, if you're ready, go ahead and unmute yourself and turn your camera on. All right.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, Joe, we can hear you.
Fantastic.
So thanks. First off, Joe, thank you for taking time out of your day to be on the webinar and give us a live review of how was it becoming SSDC? Because did you finish it recently? I can't remember if it was recently or you'd been enrolled for a while.
Yeah, so I kind of checked both of those boxes. I had signed up for it probably as one of the earlier ones, and then unfortunately had some health issues, and I just kind of took myself away from everything. And I'm going to tell a little story about that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I had passed the exam in February, and I feel like I'm this guy who's on the top of the mountain professing the benefits of surge, but strength training as a whole. Because as I will talk about, I use myself as the example, and like that experiment of one, and the results are genuine. So I'm kind of thrilled to be here to talk.
That's awesome. I want to go back to, if you can remember, what spurred you to even enroll in the first?
Yeah. So should I just answer that, or should I kind of jump in?
Yeah, whatever
part of it, or
yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So I first off, thank you very much for inviting me to participate. I know I had sent you an unsolicited email recently, just telling you what I thought of the program and how how I came to be part of this, and it kind of triggered you inviting me to speak here, and I'm very excited to do so, and I'm thankful. And to everyone who's online, I was once in your seat too, and listening to Chris and others give their story. So I'm happy to be here and share mine with you. My background is likely very different than many of yours. I'm not a swimmer. I swim, but I didn't grow up in the swimming world. I didn't belong to teams. I didn't spend countless hours in the swimming pool doing laps. I probably pushed it off to the side. I'm an ultra runner. I'm a cyclist. I've run more than 20 races of 100 miles or longer. I compete in 24-hour races on what's called a fixed gear bicycle.
Oh, yeah. Wow, Joe. that is intense. I can understand that.
Yeah, that is, it's kind of like a pleasurable thing about liking pain. So, I consider myself to be an athlete and I'm always up to try anything. But I'll tell you, if you said to me, Joe, you could run 10 hours in the pouring rain in the woods or swim in this luxury swimming pool with heat and everything, I will tell you, I would have chosen to run every single time. But I'm also going to tell you that surge strength has kind of changed me. I've embraced swimming because of what I got out of it. So how did I find myself here? So a couple of years ago, I needed surgery to repair my Achilles tendon. And I told myself that since I had to be non-weight bearing, I was going to use stretchy bands to practice in my home. I looked at a lot of YouTube videos, and stretchy bands seems to be what's promoted. Some of them come with little paddles on the end or handles. And I had this great big plan of my head, excuse me. I was going to hook them up, sit on a chair, have my cast out in front of me, and do my workout. So, I started off with yellow, which I believe is probably level 2. And I thought that it was kind of hard initially, like 25 reps per arm was like, whoa. But I worked myself up to several hundred with each arm, did everything in front of the mirror. My form was like right there. Graduated to the next color, which was green. And this was, God, I could not wait to get back into the pool. The interesting thing is that while it didn't start off this way, it ended up going through the COVID period and all the pools were closed. So I had many months in front of my mirror with my bands. So when I got into that pool, I was like, yes, this is going to be fantastic. And guess what? Not much changed. I had some tendonitis in my elbow from doing all that constant movement, but my form was great. I had the right arm angle. But I was getting tired, and it had nothing to do with the breathing. I know I had all that right. I just didn't feel that I gained a lot of strength.
Joe, even though you seemed like you were on top of all the technique and all this other stuff, it sounds like, right? Like you're like, hey, I want to do this right. It's not just, if it's sloppy, whatever, So not only were you thinking about, I got to work hard, you were still even looking at the technique part as well.
Oh, totally. I'm a personal trainer, and form to me is like of the utmost importance. Like, I don't care if people say, oh, I can lift more. Doesn't matter. If that form is not there, then we kind of lost the benefit. And from what I gained, first off, with swimming, I kind of taught myself. I watched a lot of YouTube videos and then go to the pool and practice. And I did take lessons, but I'm kind of a stickler for that because what I got from it is that swimming is a very technical oriented sport. It's almost like golf. A little change of a hand motion could change an awful lot. So I wanted to put everything I could into doing it right. And I will tell you, it was a little frustrating.
So you did all this work. You tried to focus on your technique. You get back in the water. You're not getting a result. So then, that's definitely frustrating. Is that kind of what led you to search out to find us at Surge?
Yeah, that's exactly it, Chris. Exactly. As I just mentioned a second ago, I'm a National Academy of Sports Medicine. It's abbreviated as NASM. I know you yourself are
one of my first certs too. Yeah.
Okay. And they require continuing education. And I have been certified for the last 10 years, and I've generally used courses that they themselves offer to continue my education. But I searched out, and I learned that Surge, your program, is actually accredited by them and counts towards my continuing ed. And that immediately made me feel really good about your program because they don't just take anybody. Like, their courses are really stringent in meeting their requirements for what dictates an acceptable level of knowledge to be certified by them again. So like I said, so I found your program and I decided to sign up and go through it. And so basically I use myself as the athlete, as the experiment. If this is what you said to do, this is what I did. Now, because I am certified as a personal trainer, I said, you know what, Joe? Put all of that aside. Everything put aside. Approach Chris's program like this is the first time you're being taught strength training to the extent that I could. So that's what I did. If your program said to do this, I did that. And The thing that was fabulous about it is, one, the familiarity I had with the exercises was immediately there, meaning that you're choosing exercises that are not out there. You're not making stuff up. And to that point as well, something I love that you actually say in one of the videos as part of the program is that like there's no need to stand on a ball and do an exercise, because the amount of benefit you gain from that is not worth the risk of falling off, and it doesn't translate to the pool anyway. And I liked that approach. It kind of aligned with my own. So I continued to go through the program. I did the different routines. I practiced the way you did. The tap on the stomach core tensioning thing. God, I love that.
Yeah.
God, I love that. Yes, that's not easy.
See, he's giving you all the little morsels, guys.
Sorry, I'm sorry if I'm giving it too much.
That's good. It's good. I like it.
So primarily, I have worked with runners in my life, and I have worked with a broad spectrum. Some are actually, I'm very lucky to say that some have actually been world record holders. Some are collegiate athletes. Some are actually in 8th grade. So I kind of range the spectrum. And it's always been my philosophy that I want to train them for overall strength and durability, because runners want to run. You give them 20 minutes off of work, they want to run. They don't want to do things. So my goal was to make them durable so that they can actually do their workouts, do them well, rebound to come back the next day or whatever it is to do their own thing over again. So that's always been my approach. As I went through Surge, you have all these like light bulb moments, like, wow, I didn't think of that, or that aha moment. And for me, the thing that really sealed it was this great aha moment. You profess throughout the program that strong athletes make strong swimmers. I feel that strong athletes make strong runners. Oh my God. They don't just make strong runners. They don't just make strong swimmers. They're strong athletes throughout what they do. And then it's their specific training in their realm of concentration that helps them get better because of that strength and the ability to do the workouts. And
for sure,
that to me was fabulous to actually sit there and be like, wow, whoa, aha moment, you know.
That's good to hear, Joe, because I actually went back to, and I thought about a lot of the triathletes that I worked with as well, and they would be blown away because it's very much the same thing you see in swimming: work, miles, right? Like get the volume in, and for some people they can handle it and not break down too bad. But for a lot of people that I saw, they would just get these knee aches or ankles or legs or low back or something. And I would always take the approach of, all right, well, let's just get you a little stronger. Let's just see what happens, right? Let's just see if you can do a couple pull-ups, if we can get you to deadlift and squat a little bit more, what happens. And in a few months, they're like, oh my God, I can run so much easier. And we didn't even do running, Chris. How did you do that? So I'm glad you saw the same thing, Joe.
Absolutely. Yeah. So at the end of the program, I'm certified and whatnot, but if I look at myself, my results are noticeable. In terms of pull-ups, I don't recall where I started, but it wasn't many. I could do 17 consecutive pull-ups now, and that to me is thrilling.
Wow.
Yeah, it's kind of fun to go to the gym and do that. The weights that I use in the different exercises, I did track that throughout from where I started to where I am, and everything has shown good improvement. I mean, really good improvement. And what I was going to say is that, I feel that I've improved in the water. I feel good there. I feel good out of the water. I just feel healthy. And there's something that I wanted to point out that I know that sometimes I get with some of the athletes I work with, and when I'm trying to talk about strength training, is that we're not talking about building physique athletes. We're not looking to become bodybuilders. That's not the focus. And the beautiful thing about strength training and approach is that that's controllable based on reps, weight, other factors.
And so many people don't know that, Joe. So many people don't know that. And then they get down the road 6 months and they're like, why isn't my program working?
I know. And throughout your program, you're very consistent in speaking about that, and I liked it. And I can't say that I used that prior to your program with myself. Like, I kind of wanted a little bit of hypertrophy. I'm a thin guy, wanted to get a little bigger.
Yeah.
But it actually makes a lot more sense to me now because I still want to be the runner. I still want to be a good swimmer. I want to be good at what I do. And these particular sports don't require to be like, Joe, big guy. And I don't want that extra bulk. Naturally, some will come, but you got the point.
Yeah. Oh, that's awesome.
So
anything else, Joe, you want to share with coaches in particular? I think of coaches in particular, whether it's a swim coach or a coach like yourself that's working with athletes. Any final thoughts to them as we open up enrollment next week for people to enroll to become SSDC?
I would 100% wholeheartedly support and recommend the Surge program because of the way it's outlined, the approach that's dictated throughout, and the results that I've seen with myself and a few of the athletes that I have since taken on to continue this type of program for others. It's a good program, Chris.
Joe, thanks so much. That means so much, especially from a personal trainer and one that was able to say, okay, I'm gonna have an open mind. Like that makes me even more appreciate that you bought into it, because not a lot of coaches, I would say I've run into probably a lot of strength coaches and trainers that are so stuck in their way, especially when you get 5-10 years into it, right? Like you're pretty fixed. I'm not going to change it. So the fact that you were even open to new ideas, but then that it impressed you so much that you actually changed a lot of the stuff, that just really means a lot to me. So I'm glad I responded. First of all, glad you emailed me, and I'm glad I responded to you, that you took the time to come on here and give people a live testimonial of that. So Joe, thanks so much.
You're very welcome.
Feel free
You're welcome.
to turn off. Yeah. Feel free to turn off your mic and camera, and we're just going to go Q&A for the rest of the session. So if you want to stick around, but thanks again for showing up. I really appreciate it.
You're welcome. And good luck to everybody.
Awesome.
Take care, Chris.
Thanks you.
Bye.
I saw another one there, Heiko down. I can never remember if I'm pronouncing your name right. I'm sorry, but he was a really early subscriber to becoming SSDC. So I appreciate him echoing that. So like I said, guys, we just had a few slides left. So I put the link to the website up top, but the specific one for the certification, if you want to learn more, is surgestrength.com/certification. If you scroll all the way down and you click enroll, it's closed right now, but that will put you on the wait list. I would highly recommend joining the wait list if you're interested. Waitlist people are going to get first access when it opens next week, and they will also get some special discounts and other offers as well. So if you're at all interested in becoming SSDC, go to the site, sign up on the wait list, and then you'll be in. But overall, talked about dryland programs, talked about the academy. So whether it's a 101 or enrolling to become SSDC next week, like I said, join the wait list. That's the best way to know when and where and all those details of that. But now, one of the best parts, let's get everybody feeling good about dryland. So any questions, guys, feel free to drop them in the chat, and I will answer them best I can here. I'm going to go ahead and end my screen sharing. And feel free, guys, drop in the chat. And if no one has any questions too, not a problem. Pretty proud of myself. I tried to really be, all right, aim for an hour. And so I feel I did pretty good, especially with the new software and navigating all this stuff on the back end. So feel free to drop in any questions. And if not, no worries. I'll stick around for a few minutes here. Andy, appreciate it, Joe. Thanks. Thanks, Andy. All right, let me move the chat so I can see a little bigger here. Yeah, so team training. So team training is very similar to individual training. It's just the frequency is a little bit less, so that the whole point is to take dryland off of the coach's plate. So with team training, the slight differences is that it is updated on a monthly basis. So that way it's a little less often that the coach has to change exercise or the routine with the swimmers. So that way they can get in a better groove. And it's only one call a month with that. And so that's pretty much probably, I'm trying to think off the top of my head, that's the only real difference in terms of the actual programming. But as far as you basically think about, if you're a coach of a team, and especially you think about your dryland culture, is not what you want it to be. We hear that over and over again of, they're not taking it seriously, or the guys are trying to just get too buff, worried about bicep curls and stuff like that. The girls aren't, trying to do pull-ups or whatever the case may be. We go and look at, okay, what's your equipment? Are you operating at multiple sites? How many coaches do you have? We take all that and we figure out what's the best dryland plan for you to implement. And the coach should think about it as basically them hiring another assistant coach that is virtual and just specializing in dryland to take it off their plate. And so the process to sign up is the same. Just go to our website, surgestrength.com. Go down to the program section, click on that form, and then you'll be able to say, is it an individual or team program that you're signing up for? And again, we'll get a call. We'll talk through that, all the details. The team programs in particular, legitimately everyone is customized because every team is so different in terms of, oh, we only have this space to do dryland, or we only have this equipment, whatever the case may be. We'll figure out the best thing for you. And in terms of equipment, some teams have come to us, especially in the last year or so, it's been picking up more and more. Well, they'll not only get us for their program, dryland program, they also say, Chris, we also have a set aside budget for some equipment as well. And we help them spend that the best that they can to get the most bang for their buck with that extra budget that they've set aside for the dryland equipment. So Lawrence, does that answer your question on team training? Lawrence, go ahead and type back so I know if I addressed that well enough for you. And then I'll move on to the next question. All right. Awesome, Lawrence. Thank you. Colin, I saw that both the certification enrollment and the remote coaching positions open at the same time. Must we complete the certification before applying? Yes. And so the application window to apply is basically the month of May. If you want to become a part of the Surge Strength team and be a dryland certified coach for us and work with the swimmers and the teams that come to us. So it's open applications from May 1st to May 31st. The open enrollment, however, to become SSDC is only 4 days long, May 1st through May 4th. When you wake up on May 5th, no longer an option. And so, Colin, how I think about that is, I'm assuming you're not certified and you're interested in applying with how you asked the question. So on that thought, if you enroll in the first few days, especially, you now have almost a month to work through those 22 hours or so of content and become certified. So you'd still be able to make the deadline. So I tried to set it up so that you could still do it if you aren't. But honestly, this is the best time of year for us to hire and then train and make sure everybody's good. So we're just coming up on about a year where John and Ann in particular that you guys saw earlier, they have now been with us for almost a year at this point, just getting hired a little bit ago. All right, guys. Any other questions? Those are good questions, Lawrence and Colin. Thanks everyone for taking time out to be here. I always appreciate the wide diversity of locations that we are at. Someone joining. It's always cool to see where everyone's at. Awesome, Lawrence. Thanks. All right, guys. Well, I don't see any more questions, so I'm going to close it down. Thanks so much. And remember, the dates are important to remember. SSDC only May 1st through 4th. Programs at any time you can enroll, but this is a great time of the season to get it going before you go into long course. And in some ways, I almost look at it as it sets the stage for even a better short course season next. All right, guys, thanks so much. And we'll see you later. I'm glad the webinar software worked out well too. We'll see if we keep it around. We'll see. All right, guys, have a good day.